I've discussed in other videos the idea that Yeshua, Jesus, was not a Christian, shocker to some, but that in fact he was a Jew. And he didn't come to start a new religion called Christianity. He came to fulfill his promise to the Jewish people. So it will come as no surprise when I tell you today that Yeshua, Jesus himself, never set foot in a church. He attended a synagogue. Yeshua, Jesus, never attended a church because he wasn't a Christian. And he attended a synagogue because he was Jewish. When we look at Exodus 35, it is one of the Torah portions that is called Vayekel. And in the word Vayekel, it comes from Exodus 35:1, and it talks about, and he assembled, talking about the children of Israel that were assembled at the base of Mount Sinai when Moses came down with the 2 tablets, the 10 commandments. I want to look today at that word Vayekel that comes from the verb vahal, which means to assemble. Because like I said, Vayekel means and he assembled. This concept, and he assembled, helps us to understand the meaning behind the New Testament word church. As a noun, the Hebrew word kahal means assembly, congregation, or community. The Torah refers to the community of the tribes of Israel as the kahal, meaning the assembly, a common Bible term denoting all Israel. The word kahal passes into the Greek Septuagint version of the Bible as ekklesia. Many of you are familiar with that word ekklesia. It comes from the Hebrew word kahal, which means the assembly. The Greek word ekklesia appears throughout the Greek version of the Old Testament to speak of the assembly, or Israel, or an assembly of worshipers in the temple. However, when it occurs in the New Testament English translations, the translators rarely render it as assembly. Many English translators substitute the theologically charged term church instead of assembly. The church translation of ekklesia has misled many people. Because of the double standard in translation, it appears to most readers that the church first appeared in the New Testament, completely disconnected with the Old Testament and the nation of Israel. After all, the word church never appears in the book of Matthew. In reality, the word church does not appear in the Bible at all. By translating ekklesia as church, our English Bible has led us to believe that the church is a new institution outside of Judaism and the Jewish people. All of this information about the original languages implies that the New Testament church needs to be understood in continuity with the Jewish people, not as a disjuncture. In the broad sense, the church is the nation of Israel, God's assembly, his called out ones. The Messiah will gather all of Israel into his assembly when he returns. He talks about gathering them from the 4 corners of the earth. And Paul talks about all the assembly being the one olive branch, where the cultivated branch and the wild olive branch are grafted into the olive tree Israel. In the narrow sense, the church is a subset of the larger assembly of Israel, consisting of all believers who have identified Yeshua as the Messiah and cast their allegiance with him. There is not a separate family of God that consists of the church and Israel. There is but one assembly, Israel, for which God covenanted with in the old covenant and covenanted with them in the new covenant. So those who are going to be a part of the assembly, the called out ones of God, must come under the house of Israel. Shalom.